Now, returning back to Schmamann in this cognitive cerebellar cognitive affective syndrome, he kind of dove into the exact operation of the cerebellum, and he talked about a couple different feedback loops. So again, the brain, cerebellum doesn't operate as an island, isn't just one machine kind of doing one thing in one part of your brain. It's looped into these other areas I just mentioned. And in the cerebellum, how it works, it has two other operating loops. One is called the feedback loop, which means in order to do something with a goal, we'll say catch a baseball, the feedback that you get from perceiving, very literally, the ball in the air, the physical ball, the size, the shape, the texture, the direction it's coming from, all those sensory pieces are coming in to give the brain signals to tell the hand where to go. So the ball is coming this way, I'm going to reach the glove out here because that's the trajectory it's going in, and it's using that sensory information, that feedback, to adjust and make corrections to how to catch the ball, basically. In that real-time, real-life scenario where you're getting feedback, it's a relatively slower process because there's a lot of computations going on, and you're adjusting in real time. So as you're going out to try to catch a ball, your foot might twist into it and you got to adjust because you got thrown off, you touched a rock. The wind might move the ball a little bit, so you kind of have to adjust to where's the ball going and kind of use that information, that feedback, to decide where to put your hand to catch. That's the feedback loop. There's also a feed-forward loop, which uses the predictions based on past learning to anticipate what you're going to do and where your hand's going to go. So very young in the learning process, there's not a lot of data computed to anticipate where your hand goes to catch, but enough times of playing catch and getting hit a couple times or missing the ball a couple times, you begin to learn, like, okay, I'm going to move my head away from the direction of the ball, I'm going to put my hand in front of the ball. And enough times of that learning, there's motor systems that can predict what to do. And so, the repetitive learning helps the cerebellum adjust as it goes along and learn this process of catching a ball. And so, again, we have the feedback loop, which is, again, a slower process. You're learning, you're adjusting. But once you've learned that program of catching, then now it's kind of stored, so to speak, where you can use that program in the future, and since it's already kind of a developed program, it's quick. Like, it knows automatically, my brain automatically knows how to grab the pen. It's slick and smooth and being able to do that behavior, grabbing stuff a zillion times before, so it kind of just knows how to grab stuff. And it would need to adjust, say the pen was on the edge and almost fell. Well, okay, that typical routine grabbing activity needs to adjust to the different circumstance, and it'll do that, it'll take that feedback and adjust so it can grab it again. So kind of important mechanisms in terms of how the cerebellum works. So it brings programs to the table that it's already learned, and that's a very quick process, a proactive process. And then it also takes information from the real life situation, the feedback. It's a little bit slower process and it's reactive, but point being is that it's a loop. It's constant dynamic activity, always taking in information, adjusting the program, adapting to what's going on, and it's a very, again, interactive, dynamic, I'll say 3D process. You got to be out in the environment during the activity, doing the thing in order for the cerebellum to evolve and learn, be able to be quick and adaptive in future situations of problem solving. And as I mentioned, yes, in a basic sense, we know cerebellum's about behavior, but again, we want to extend that beyond behavior into language, thinking, emotion, motivation, sensory understanding, and the cerebellum is really the supervisor of the brain and helps adjust what you do in real life, adjust what you know and synchronize it with what is happening from moment to moment. And again, There's a huge social aspect, the role of cerebellum. You can memorize speeches and what you would say to someone. Say you're going to order something in a restaurant, you can memorize the speech. Hey, I'd like a cheeseburger. Have you got that speech or that script memorized? And so that's your feed forward program, so to speak. I've got this practice, I've got it memorized, but then you've got to be able to apply it in real time. If the waiter or waitress drops their pen and they're reaching on the floor and you're making your order, you're not adapting. You're not going to be successful at having them hear what you need because you didn't adapt to the situation. Something unusual happened and now you've got to adjust. And if there's not a smoothness to that adjustment, like, pause, wait for them to get up and grab their pen, if it's not as smooth, if it's dysregulated, choppy, awkward reaction to the new event, then that's a good sign that the cerebellum is not doing its job. So again, there's certainly medications for all of these issues, and there's counseling, and there's computer apps and executive function coaching and speech memorizing and things like that. But in practicing real life social interaction is how you're going to develop the cerebellum, though, and again, any kind of occupational therapy where you strengthen that predictive ability and adaptability of the cerebellum. Okay, that's